Внимание! Говорит Москва. Говорит Москва.
Electromagnetic Field Laboratory was founded in 1952 under Institute Director academician August Andreevich Litovet guidance as USSR Ministry of Health first specialized unit. Its primary mission was workers exposed by radio frequency electromagnetic fields safety ensuring. Laboratory foundation was linked to radar, radio navigation and communication technologies widespread development, as well as workers' complaints. Laboratory studies direct to electromagnetic field biological effects, main problems, various frequency range, as well as focuses on hygienic standards and control methods development applicable to both occupational and non-occupational exposure from the foundation to the present. Till 1975, the laboratory was headed by Professor Zinaida Vasilyevna Gordon. During these years, laboratory staff carried out the studies of workers' occupational conditions under radio frequency electromagnetic field exposure, as well as workers' health, in collaboration with our institute's clinic colleagues. As a result, the first radio frequency electromagnetic field hygienic norms in our country were developed, along with criteria and principles for human electromagnetic field adverse effects protection. From 1962 to 1973 only, 8 laboratory papers collections and conference proceedings were published. In 1972, the laboratory team was awarded with the title Communist Labor Collective. At that time, the laboratory had already reached the international level. In 1973, international conference was held in Warsaw, where the key results from the domestic school of electromagnetic biology and hygiene research were presented for the first time. In 1976, the laboratory was headed by Professor Boris Mikhailovich Savin. He led it for 13 years until 1989. This time, a great number of studies have been directed to different frequency range electromagnetic field, occupational exposure, hygienic regulation were carried out, and laboratory's equipment setup was substantially updated. For example, shortwave test bench was designed for generation of 3 to 30 MHz electromagnetic fields running wave mode. Experimental studies in animals were carried out by this test bench used to electromagnetic field harmful effects threshold determine, and this frequency range hygienic standards develop. While doing hygienic, clinical and physiological studies, the institute staff traveled across almost the entire country. Starting from the west to the east, from Kaliningrad, Lviv, Minsk to Khabarovsk, from north to south, from Severodvinsk, Severomorsk to Tashkent, Dushanbe, Tbilisi and Krasnodar. In 1977, the All-Union Seminar on Methodological Issues of Hygienic Electromagnetic Field Standardization and Control was held at the institute that established theoretical foundations of electromagnetic field hygienic regulation. While headed by Professor Boris Mikhailovich Savin, the laboratory has repeatedly confirmed its leading position as a scientific and methodological center, coordinating work on various frequency ranges, electromagnetic fields, hygienic standardization and control throughout the country, within the framework of the Problem Commission called Scientific Basis of Occupational Hygiene and Professional Diseases, including these years saw the beginning of large-scale research into understanding of power-frequency electromagnetic field electric and magnetic components, biological effects, and hygienic norms. Dose-dependent hygienic standards were developed, which take into account not just the intensity but also the time of exposure. The basic principles of electromagnetic field human health protection were developed, such as protection by time, by distance, and by means of protective equipment. And a huge number of new normative and methodological documents that were aimed to workers' health preservation ensure. Also, the first socio-hygienic and epidemiological studies were carried out to measure the power frequency electromagnetic field adverse impact, up to carcinogenic effects including. It is worth mentioning that the laboratory work received a very wide international resonance. Our laboratory was visited by specialists from the USA, Great Britain, Italy, West Germany, Japan. And it was really a well-deserved success. Meanwhile, international cooperation for studies in electromagnetic biology and hygiene area was increasing. Experts from the USA, France, Italy and Japan top institutions visited the laboratory to exchange experience. Young specialists from the countries of the Council for Mutual Economic Assistance, GDR, Czechoslovakia, Poland, Bulgaria, were being sent to workplace in the laboratory. Therefore, the domestic school gained widespread recognition in all countries of the Eastern Bloc. As a part of international partnership and following the medical technical guidelines formulated in the laboratory, the first compact electromagnetic field meter was co-developed with experts from East Germany. Designed to electromagnetic field meter for power frequency 50 Hz and radio frequencies from 60 kHz to 300 MHz control. This device is NFM1, and it was used for several decades by the sanitary and epidemiological surveillance services to monitor electromagnetic conditions in occupational and environmental electromagnetic field assessment. For 31 years, from 1989 to 2020, the laboratory was headed by Professor Yuri Petrovich Paltsev. A number of new problems were given special attention by the laboratory during these years, such as cellular communication electromagnetic field effects, power frequency electromagnetic field, hypogeomagnetic and different frequency ranges magnetic fields. Power frequency electromagnetic field standards were improved. All of these were in official documents form presented, approved by the Ministry of Health. The laboratory played a significant role in addressing the issue of hygienic certification of different frequency ranges electromagnetic field sources during this difficult time for the country. Almost all hygiene regulations have been updated due to new knowledge. International cooperation has continued. In 1998, for the first time on the basis of our institute, a conference within the World Health Organization International Program, Electromagnetic Fields and Human Health, was held. This conference gathered scientists and specialists from more than 20 countries from all over the world. As a result, a two-volume edition, both Russian and English versions, was published. International cooperation under this program is still ongoing. But the time sets new challenges. Since 2020, the laboratory is headed by the Doctor of Biological Sciences Sergei Yurievich Perov. Today, the laboratory represents a successful combination of young specialist perspectives with the experience and knowledge of its senior employees. The scientific potential of the Soviet and Russian hygienic standardization schools are used. Modern approaches and principles of electromagnetic field biological effects study and control are being successfully developed. The laboratory team responds to the modern challenges of scientific and technical progress in order to preserve of workers' health and general public. New technologies rapid introduction considering. At present, electromagnetic field biological effects study and hygienic regulation substantination studies begin from mathematical modeling. It allows us to do preliminary detailed study of factors effect in human organism separate systems. The laboratory has a calculating high-performance parallel computing complex based on NVIDIA technologies, which allows to create experimental three-dimensional models of possible exposure conditions for laboratory animals, as well as the conditions for human stay. All organs and tissues are created in three-dimensional form in human and animal phantoms. By combining modern approaches and fundamental principles, we can predict new sources biological effects on human beings. In other words, we can already predict what will happen to human health in 5-10 years. The laboratory has unique test benches designed to study the various frequency electromagnetic field biological effects. It also has the latest foreign measuring equipment that allows to electromagnetic field levels control in the entire standardized frequency range both at personnel workplaces and in the places of population residence. The laboratory carries out unique tests in Russia and CIS for electromagnetic field personal protective equipment certification. The high-voltage test bench was originally designed for experimental studies on animals, power frequency electric and magnetic fields, threshold unfavorable effects determination, in order to hygienic regulations development. Currently, high-voltage test setup is also used for power frequency electric fields, shielding suits, effectiveness assessment. Special phantoms usage provides possibility to assess the degree of human protection under new personal protective equipment development. One of the newest test benches is Screening Suit Protective Shunt Properties Experimental Evaluation System. Induced voltage, which occurs in disconnected hardware near the parts under current, is a dangerous factor of high-voltage equipment maintenance and can threaten the life of personnel due to electric shock. To evaluate from this factor human protection degree, studies of shunt shielding suits' effectiveness are carried out in various conditions. Emergency situations when step voltage occurs, including. Right now, we carry out shielding suit characteristics assessment in 640 kV substation with conductive current flow from the phantom and protective suit. The DAISY 52 Neo automated dosimetry system is unparalleled in the entire post-Soviet territory. It meets current international safety standards and allows to assess wearable communication devices, such as phones, tablets, laptops, radios, and other wireless devices. The dosimetry system allows for automated evaluation of specific absorption rate, magnitude, and distribution in human phantoms under various irradiation conditions, wearable single-frequency sources including It also allows to measure electric and magnetic field strengths in free space with high positioning accuracy. The DAISY complex represents a three-dimensional electromagnetic field scanner with a set of phantoms, measuring probes, and processing and visualization system. DAISY dosimetry system allows for appropriate evaluation of different frequency electromagnetic field energy distribution in the human body, in its most important parts. Why is it so important? Because with the introduction and development of cellular communication systems with the 5G system improvement, other frequency ranges, other generation modes are getting more and more damaged. And the nature of its effects to human health is not sufficiently studied. So this is essential for health risk evaluation. Today, there is general public great concern connected with base stations placement in areas where people live. This is one of the relevant hygienic problems. Laboratory carries out the measurements of various communication generations electromagnetic field and develops modern control methods with consideration of international experience. Since the beginning of human health electromagnetic field effect studies in the laboratory, each maximum permissible level value is biologically substantiated. In other words, these values are based in results of months of round-the-clock medical and biological experiments. This should always be done with the introduction of new technologies into the area of human life and work. In order to use innovations effectively, it is necessary to take into account the potentially hazard effects to current and future generations so that we and our children will not have to pay a high price for possible health problems in the future. The laboratory staff systematically travel to various facilities across the country to measure electromagnetic fields levels, study the employees' working conditions, and provide consultations with the departmental organizations' instructions including. Such studies of electromagnetic environment are also carried out in places where people live, in cooperation with Federal Sanitary Epidemiological Services including. Every year, the scope of electromagnetic energy application in industry, science, medicine, social sphere expands more and more, and the problems of electromagnetic field biological effects study and hygienic regulation as occupational and environmental factor remain relevant and set new goals for laboratory staff.